All right. President Carter, you might have heard originally, was not really enthused by the president's response to John McCain's passing, but he said that the president has made good on that and corrected his initial knee-jerk response, which was not good. So it's time to move on. But not everybody is moving on. Former Speaker of the House, Newt Gingrich, on all of that. It speaks to the times, I guess, in which we live, Speaker, but a lot of Democrats are not heeding the former president's advice that it's time to, just say bygones be bygones. The president made good, made a statement that was complimentary, and that's that. Apparently, it's not that. It's that. What do you think?
Well, I mean, first of all, I think it's very generous of President Carter to take that position, and I think essentially most Americans would agree with him. But look, you have a partisanship today where whatever Trump does, there's going to be a group of left-wing Democrats who hate it. I mean, if Trump came out in the morning eating vanilla ice cream, there'd be an entire faction saying it was racist that he was eating white ice cream. If he, on the other hand, if he came out eating black ice cream or chocolate ice cream, there'd be a faction on the left saying that's totally hypocritical. He has no right to eat chocolate ice cream because, after all, we all know he's not interested in black people. I mean, they have decided, they get up in the morning and go, I know Trump's wrong. I wonder what he did. And that's where we are, and I think we ought to relax.
But where do we go now, though? I mean,
do
you think the president should do anything to get ahead of that, ignore that, not feed it? What do you think?
Look, I think the president has a pretty good sense of what's going on. We are in a cultural civil war between a group of left-wingers who believe in open borders, socialism. You just had the Democratic nominee for governor in California, Newsom, come out and say he wants to provide universal health care for illegal immigrants. Now, I don't know what that would cost in California, but it would be billions of dollars. So the left in this country is now in a position where there's not much negotiation. Either they're going to lose or they're going to create a very different America. And probably the person who understands that best is Donald Trump. And that's why he drives them crazy. He has the role here that Margaret Thatcher had in the 1980s in Great Britain. He's the personification of taking apart what the left is trying to do, and it drives them crazy, and that's why you get these reactions that are automatic, intense, and hostile.
But doesn't he create some of the, especially when he goes on this warpath against Google, and it might be fully justified. He felt that they're very biased against, conservatives. Echo the same about Twitter. Even Jim Dorsey, the guy who runs Twitter, has admitted this bias. But it veers you, of course, at a time when he could point to this trade agreement with Mexico, point to real progress in some of these other areas, and just gets distracted on this other stuff that just seems silly.
Yeah, look, I think that there are interesting parallels between Trump as a very disruptive personality, Andrew Jackson, the American president, and Winston Churchill. All three of them had these personality traits that just at a point where they were totally right, and you could almost imagine people coalescing around them, they would go do something, and you'd be jarred so badly, you'd wonder, I mean, what was that all about? And I think that it's unfortunate for the president that, about 10% of the time he feels a need to go an extra step, to pick an extra fight, to do something he doesn't need. I don't think it helps him, but it also tells you what enormous underlying power there is in the policies he's undertaking, that despite all that, despite everything the liberal media does, I watch Lunchtime Politics every day. He is consistently at about the same level of support week after week after week. And that's because for a huge number of Americans, they get it. He's the change agent. These other people are the people who hate change. They're going to do everything they can to hurt him, and he's going to keep trying to change things. And so his base, as you see in these primaries, where Trump-endorsed candidates overall have done amazingly well, his base is very real. It believes in him, and it believes in him for a practical reason. They're seeing real results.
All right, we can talk later about the Jackson and the Churchill comparisons at another time, but I do want to get your take on the midterms and how they're looking right now. Jimmy Carter was very quick to scold Democrats who want to mention the I word or campaign on impeachment. He says he doesn't believe that, not a good strategy. I'm paraphrasing here. But is it your sense that if Democrats were to take the House, at the very least, as Axios has reported and others have said, we're looking at a lot of investigations that could freeze things in time for 2 years?
Sure. Look, if the Democrats win control of the House, it'll be a total mess for 2 solid years, and then Trump will get reelected because the economy, frankly, is going to drown everything the Democrats do. But I'm going to surprise you a little bit. I was pretty accurate in 2016 when all these so-called experts thought Trump couldn't win. I just want to suggest to you, you may be shocked election night this year, and you may see the Republicans actually gain seats in the House and gain seats in the Senate, because as the Democrats get more and more crazy, they are setting themselves up for an absolute repudiation. And I've never seen anything quite like it, except the loony left in Great Britain under Thatcher. So I'm just telling you up front, I think there's a 1 in 3 chance we will actually gain seats in the House, and they will suffer a crushing defeat in the Senate.
Yeah, I don't see the Democrats gaining the House. I see Republicans losing, but not enough for them to gain it. Now, you're saying the Republicans actually gain seats. This has the makings of a Wendy's burger bet. So we'll come back and talk about that here to see who's right.
Well, let me just give you one quick thing. If the average Californian understands what Gavin Newsom's promise of paying for universal health care for illegal immigrants, what that would mean over the next 10 years to California, he will lose the governorship in a way which will shock everyone until they look at the data. No normal person wants to pay for universal health care for people who, by the way, will then be attracted to the U.S. because everybody in Central America is going to say, hey, Gavin Newsom wants us to have free health care.
Well, just a news flash. It is California. I love the state and I love the people, but it is California. So you got to balance that. Newt, it's always a pleasure. Thank you very, very much.